Now, what is the cost of being a woman? It's a tricky question, but according to a deep dive into how much Aussie women earn, we might now have a figure. Almost $170,000. That's the difference between the net wealth of the average Aussie man and woman.
It is really such a staggering difference, and it really impacts women's financial security, not just in the current day, but the kind of financial future they're going to have.
That gap likely driven by men averaging high superannuation balances and greater rates of home ownership.
It's not just purely wage earners, it's the access to capital, it's the access to that equity over the course of their lifespan, which is disadvantaging women as they get older.
But research from Finder reveals the extent to which wealth disparity follows women through all stages of life, starting in childhood, where the average Aussie girl receives $7.50 a week in pocket money, while boys are paid $10.30.
Boys tend to get paid more for those very physical tasks like mowing the lawn, whereas girls are often expected to do a lot of the household chores without payment, those invisible tasks like doing the vacuuming or putting the washing away.
In the workplace, men are more likely to ask for a pay rise and, when they receive one, secure more than 1.5 times the salary bump of their female counterparts.
This disparity is then compounded further when women take time out to have children. That impacts their income right now, and it also impacts their income in retirement because they're not earning superannuation.
And things don't improve later in life. Women retire with 46% less in savings than men. And 35% of women over 65 have less than $1,000 to their name, compared to just 22% of their male counterparts.
The face of homelessness in this country is a woman over 60 years old. This is your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, whom are living out of cars and rough sleeping because they don't simply have enough superannuation or funding in their retirement.
So with this deepening disparity trickling through all stages of life, how on earth do we begin to close the wealth gap? Well, Prue Gilbert is one of Australia's top voices on gender equality. She joins us now. Prue, there are obviously some structural problems here, but how much of this gender wealth gap comes down to choice? For example, women wanting to spend more time with their kids.
Well, I think when you're talking about structural change, the concept of choice is probably not a real choice, as you point out. When we look at what underpins some of those decisions that people make, what we tend to find is that the decisions that they're making are really entrenched into policy, social norms, and also gendered expectations. To give you an example, you know, the average age gap between first-time parents is around 3 years. And with that 3-year age gap, together with an existing gender pay gap, we see that there is this reinforcement of expectations around gendered care of children. In fact, the motherhood penalty can take up to 10 years for a woman to actually recover that from a career perspective.
You mentioned the motherhood penalty, which of course is very, very real. But for me, I've got 2 little boys, and motherhood to me has felt like an absolute bonus. Being a mum is the job that I love the most. Is it about, I suppose, looking at the way we approach unpaid work when it comes to women?
Absolutely. Unpaid work, unpaid care, we actually as a society need to value it more. And I couldn't agree with you more.
How do we do that,
I've got 3 children,
though?
And I think there is a need to increase the investment in things like paid parental leave, bringing it up to the replacement wage rather than paying it at the minimum wage. Similarly, we need to make childcare far more affordable so that it is, again, a support for all working parents, not just seen as something that is a trade-off for women, and it comes down to how much you earn and how many days you can actually afford to work.
Prue, there's a lot of stats in this report, but one that stood out to all of us today was this idea that girls get paid less pocket money than boys in childhood. Can that be true?
Sadly, it is true and, dare I say, also outrageous. You know, it's not uncommon to see a much higher amount of money paid to somebody who does the lawn mowing, for example, compared with things like babysitting.
I've got to tell you,
So
I paid my babysitter a hell of a lot more than the bloke who mowed the lawn.
Oh.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, but as this report shows, the data and the research shows that there is evidence to suggest that girls are earning less pocket money than boys, and it starts fairly early and is entrenched over time.
Steve, why do you underpay your lawnmower guy? What's going on there?
And you told me when I mowed your lawn that was the market rate.
I actually mow my own.
You've got to give yourself a raise then.
Prue, thank you very much for your time.
No problem.